It's a comment. It's not inalienable truth. So I probably post an audio like this once a week, and a few times a week I'll comment on other people's posts that strike me as interesting, that bring certain ideas to mind, or that I just want to dialogue on, because again, like I said, I find the topic interesting. And when I comment, I don't necessarily expect anybody to agree with me or validate me or support what I said, or, eat or even respond. I'm commenting because I had something to say. And if it starts a dialogue, great. If it doesn't, great. If people agree with me, fine. If they don't agree with me, that's fine too. Because we all have our own opinions, our own experiences. And, that's part of what makes life very interesting. But I have noticed that sometimes when people comment on my posts, they comment as if their stance is the inalienable truth, as if there is no refutation, and as if I say anything to respond to them, they're offended and think that I'm trying to control the argument or trying to shut them down. And I don't really have any need to do that. I mean, it actually would be counterproductive to do it, because one of the reasons I post on my own page is for engagement. So literally, whether you agree with me or you disagree with me, um, it's still engagement. It's still benefiting me. So I don't have a preference either way. And I have found some very interesting, I guess you could say, intellectual sparring partners through disagreement, which is sometimes nice to have, because sometimes people bring up things and they enrich the discussion because they're bringing up other points. And there are times when I will screenshot the comments that I have. In fact, 90% of my memes that I create personally myself are literally screenshots of conversations that I've had, or snippets of conversations that I've had with people that I thought were great jumping off points for even further discussion of certain topics or certain ideas or certain stances or arguments. And I love that. So it amazes me sometimes when people who come onto my page sometimes don't even understand how my page works. I can't speak for other people. I can only speak for me. I post videos and quotes and audios and snippets of my podcast that I find interesting, that I think would engender discussion, and I'm open to that discussion. And I've been doing that for 5 years now. Literally for 5 years, I've been doing that. And the last thing, as I'm saying, the last thing that I want is to shut people down. The last thing that I want is to stifle conversation. The last thing that I want is to act like there is only one view. But that doesn't mean that everyone that comes on my page gets my agreement. Yes, I want engagement. Yes, I want different points of view, but I'm going to also be one of the people saying, wait a minute, hey, that didn't make sense. Or are you really saying this? Is this really what you mean? Because that really doesn't sound like, something that would be beneficial to say or think or, believe. It sounds like that's a very toxic idea. It sounds like that's a very unproductive idea. It sounds like that would be harmful to society, to women, to men, to children, So just because, sometimes I wonder if we still have, or if some people still have this idea of people either needing to agree with them, you know, or people needing to be grateful that they're commenting so they um just like and smile and say yay, hey, glad you're here. But once again, I'm a person who likes to think. I've always liked to think. It's kind of fun to me to think, and I like to hear people's thoughts. But again, I also like to challenge people's thinking. And that is one reason why I have a page at all, is because when I was growing up, that was something that my dad did with me. He challenged my thinking. He was constantly asking me questions about why I believe what I believe and whether I could back it up, whether I could prove it. And he still did a lot of conditioning, me to think certain ways. But in other ways, he wanted me to have a completely open mind and wanted me to challenge a lot of the prevailing beliefs that were out there. So for me, it's normal. And I wrote a post about this, and I posted an audio about this in the past before. I understand that a lot of people haven't had that experience, and they think that everything is said with vitriol or hatred or condescension or I don't know, negativity. And that is not the that's not necessary. It's not necessary at all. Some of the shows that I love, and some of the comedians that I love, some of the commentators that I love, are people like Bill Maher and D.L. Hughley and George Carlin and um, Josh Johnson. And all they do is comment on the peculiarities in our society, the strange statements and strange happenings. And a lot of them turn that into comedy. And I'm not a comedian by any means, but that is what I find fascinating when you have logical and intellectual discussions of topics and there's no vitriol there. It's just an exploration of the topic, and the two people don't have to agree with each other at all, or however many people are involved in this discussion. They don't have to agree with each other at all. So people don't disrespect you just because they disagree with you. Disagreement can be agreeable. We can agree to disagree. And if you come onto my page and give a comment, I may agree with you, I may disagree with you, I may ask you why you think that. I may challenge your thought process, and that doesn't mean that I'm disrespecting you. It just means that as an adult, I feel like we should be able to have a conversation. Is that too much to ask? Don't know. Seems like it might be with some people. Hopefully it isn't with the people that I'm talking to today. May you walk in Zenergy. It's a comment. It's not inalienable truth. So I probably post